Let's play a game. Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. What's missing? BDSP were, well, they were definitively there, but they were missing a certain game. They were missing a whole game. The best game. I won't crap on them too much, except, yes I will, because a group of incredibly talented individuals that go by Team Lumi took the time to turn BDSP into what should have been. The Pokemon Platinum remake we all craved but never received. Well, not anymore. My friends, let me introduce you to Pokemon Luminescent Platinum. I promise, this game is crazy. The Pokemon, the new tech, the quality of life improvements, the overhauled teams, life-size Pokemon, and it all leads up to a freaking armored mech Mewtwo. Madness, genuinely madness. You'll see for yourself. But first, and this is a big but first, this video somehow got sponsored by Dimensionals, a game I actually play. It's this roguelike turn-based RPG game that honestly resembles Pokemon in a lot of ways, and since we haven't had a Pokemon game in a while, we'll call it a breath of fresh air. It's got dozens of super unique heroes, but personally, I like this guy. Big friend-shaped friend, and his name is literally Shork. Could he be any more perfect? If you're a fan of Pokemon, which, like, let's be real, if you click this video, then you'll see a lot of similarity in the combat system. It's sort of like double battles where each side takes a turn to attack or defend or use a support move. Skills are sort of like abilities or items in that you can equip and upgrade them as you progress in the game. It's just, I could try and explain it all, but it's going to be so hot. Listen, it's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it a lot. I've been having a lot of fun with it. So, I mean, listen, if you've got Steam, go over there and wishlist it using my link if you want to help me out. If you're not convinced by Shork as well, then you're a lost cause. Anyway, back to the video. As usual, we spawn at the house, and as usual, the human embodiment of ADHD sprints into our place unannounced and uninvited. Our single mother gives us some shoes, we rush to our rival Algo's non-broken home, and then we decide that it might be a good idea to head into the wild grass and fend off some monsters with our bare fists. Some guy with glorious mutton chops stops us and offers us each a monster of our own. Naturally, I chose the best of the three, not up for debate, and after having a bit of a willy swinging contest with Algor, we wanted to check out the lakefront, where apparently a legendary Pokemon resides. But in our pursuit, we meet the most adorable megalomaniac I've ever seen. He said something ominous and walks off with his little chibi feet. So, right, this is where things get a little bit weird, because out of literally nowhere, a freaking shaman showed up and decided that I was worthy of its incense burner. Apparently, we get to choose what the incense smells like, which is actually an interesting mechanic. The smell that you choose directly correlates to the wild Pokemon that you attract with it. I chose Old Almost Ancient, which attracts more Kalos Pokemon apparently. We make our way to the professor's lab, and strangely, when we head to the right side of the lab, we get gifted the other two Sinnoh starters, meaning our team is half full with exclusively starters. I'll freaking take that, because trust me, I'm going to need all the help I can get. I named my Pokemon really dumb names that will pay off in a really dumb way, and don't question it or me for doing it. In Lumplay, you get to change your outfit, which I thought would be hilarious because I could change my look to exactly emulate Dawn. I clearly took the Chaos is Comedy approach with this one. When we get to Jubilife, we run into Luker, who tells us that we shouldn't be thieves. Sir, you're talking to a guy who stole 3 starter Pokemon from an old guy and ripped Dawn's entire wardrobe for a bet. I'll steal a grape just to feel something. The next ludicrous part of this game is that you can head to the Pokemon Center, and in answering a series of questions and battling the film crew, we get given all 3 of the Gen 1 starters. At first I only took the Charmander, and before heading back to snag the other 2, I attempted the rival battle off in the next route. Mr. Algor Itham only had 3 Pokemon, but strangely it consisted of Chimchar, Cubone, and Shinx. Needless to say, we embarrassed him and kept moving. I found and caught a Riolu in the cave, then did the usual of finding Rourke elbow deep in some rocks, of course. My guy offered me any Evo Stone of my choice and went back to the gym awaiting my challenge. So interestingly, this game offers an in-game level cap to create an extra layer of challenge, which personally I love. I set that up and used the everlasting candy in my bag to level our Mons up and subsequently evolve a few of them. Lovely stuff. Off the rip, the quality of life changes are fantastic. I'm really enjoying not repeatedly flooring Bidoof just to get my Pokemon to an apt level to be able to keep moving. It feels good. Now for what I consider to be one of the coolest aspects of Luminescent Platinum. For you see, each gym leader has the potential to bring one of a bunch of different teams. In Rourke's case, he could bring any one of 4 teams, all following his type bias. I freaking love that, bro. Imagine the replayability of the mainline Pokemon games if this was in. Are you kidding me? In my first attempt, Rourke absolutely wiped the floor with me, so I guess now I know why we already get so many gift mons. I decided to go back to Orberg's Pokemon Center and do the same thing that we did back in Jubilife, but this time for the Gen 3 starters. So then I jiggled up the team, evolved our new Pocket Monsters, and ran back to the Rourke fight, and frickin' lost again to the buffest, wammest, tankiest Laleep you've ever seen. Good lord. On my 3rd attempt, I managed to take Rourke down first try. Gosh, I'm so talented and tall and handsome and talented. Moving forwards, or I guess backwards, we were halted by a harrowing scene of Professor Mutton Chops and his granddaughter being bullied by what seemed to be 2 members of a chibi cult. They were trying to rob an old guy, but hey, that's my job. I leapt in, beat up the Galactic Goonies, and pressed forth on my journey. Our turtle evolved, we met a foundling who seems to have just been separated from her father. I beat up a cultist on her behalf, but then I needed a special key to get any further, so I made my way to Floroma Meadow. Floroma. What? Anyway, we found more cultists surrounding some other random civilian, and these guys are really starting to get on my nerves. I beat them up, and conveniently, one of them dropped the key that I needed, so I let myself into the Valley Windworks, beat up some freaking sheep, and listen, I was not prepared for what came next. In the base game, Mars is a menace, an illegal menace too. She's got a Purugly at an impossible level to obtain a Purugly, so like, she's a cheater, a liar, a fake, and a hack. But, hear me out. First fight, Purugly sat on my team like a hippo on a cockroach. Second time, oh wow, it put Yanma to sleep, and that made the fight much easier this time. RNG kissed me on the lips, and so we powered the kitten with a force palm. So, in the end, oh heck, it took out Purugly. We learned more about the Blue Wig cult, reunite the estranged child with her father, and I was off to be a Samaritan elsewhere. In the forest, you see, we were paired up with Cheryl, and we fought her, beat her, and escorted her to the other side of the Big Bad Woods. In Eterna City, the gym leader wasn't even there. I ran into Algor near the statue of Dialga, and who else but Chibi Noseless Cyrus to do whatever he's doing. Then, right, my future ex-wife, but for real this time, approached, and mentions that she'll remember my name, which, like, of course you will. You'll be signing my divorce papers before you know it. Off to Mount Cornet, where Miss Gardenia was in some secluded house, and since I found her, I'm entitled to a battle. That's how it works, right? I evolved a bunch of the starters and compiled a team of mostly fire types, and like clockwork, we did some clock work, because the gym's a clock. Did you get it, or was my comedy too clever? Does my comedy supersede you? If you didn't laugh, it's because my comedy supersedes you. Gardenia had a pretty sick team consisting of Roserade, Grovyle, Wormadam, Bayleaf, Shiftry, and the neckiest Pokemon you ever did see. See, another fun thing here is that all the Pokemon are scaled to their cannon size. We see a Tynamo, it's gonna be as big as my ego. We see a Wailord, it's gonna be the size of my heart. Next up is a Team Galactic hideout. Now, I've never owned a hideout, but I would argue that rule number one should be hiding it. How did a cult get planning permission for this? Anyway, through the doors and we find ourselves up against Jupiter, who has a Golbat, Sableye, Tangela, and Skuntank. But we sweep her up without too much issue, and my future ex-wife gives me her egg. Can't believe I wrote that, can't believe I kept it in the script. I found a cave on Route 206 and ran into a lady called Mira, who challenges me to a battle, then asks me to escort her through the cave, to help her get some kind of ribbon. She gave me a TM for my service, and moving on Route 207, it was about time that we fight ourselves. But I'm the real Don, and I can prove it. The imposter had a team of Piloswine Lopunny, who's apparently a fighting type now, a Clefable, and a Primplup. I will own everything that's yours. Ran into our favourite evil Funko Pop, and bro said something about humanity's incompetence. I don't know, man, I don't really get this guy. I was headed towards Hearthome and strangely got challenged to a battle by none other than Aaron. Like, Elite 4 Aaron. Unluckily for him, I still had a lot of my fire types in my party from the grass gym, so I mean, I floored him. And then in Hearthome, we get given a different flower for the incense burner. This one lets us attract Unovamons. Then I went to the contest place to urge Fantina to do her job, and when I went into the gym building, I made my way through the puzzle and got absolutely smacked the hell up by Fantina's Gengar. Sick. After making a few adjustments and evolving a few Pokemon, I went back in and lost to a freaking Shedinja. I finally managed to snag the badge against the team of Clops, Gengar, Drifblim, Spiritomb, Sableye, and Miss Magus. First try. Bro, what is this game? What is that team? The freaking difficulty leap from BDSP to this is madness. Algor and I had a falling out, and we had a battle, and I got smacked up, mostly because I wasn't prepared. So I leveled and evoed a couple mons, and with that we smacked him back. We got word that the evil sheep are flocking to the Pokemon Mansion, and really strangely, in taking it on, there's a battle with a tech that I've never seen before. You have to beat one of the Galactic Gatekeepers in exactly 6 moves. No more, no less. They've got 3 Pokemon, one being Shedinja, and for whatever reason, this took me like an hour and a half to figure out. Most likely because I'm a humongous cabbage. After clearing all the rooms, a bunch of Clefairy and Happiny came out and went towards the main Gatekeeper. I guess they then performed a ritual dance and teleported the grunt somewhere else. I have absolutely no idea what just happened. Saturn turned out to be holding some guy hostage, and he forced the guy into a double battle, so I guess Algor and I were now fighting them both. We beat them, saving Mr. Backlot, and we can go to Backlot's office to collect an egg as a reward. But you know what, mate? Keep that egg. I don't do this for the reward. I'm Sinnoh's Robin Hood. With that through, I trekked my way to Veilstone, where my clone was waiting for me. After convincing her that she's the true imposter, Mr. Wake comes out the gym and shows me his bare chest. Like right in my face. My breath is literally condensating this topless 57-year-old man's upper stomach. After unsticking my face from Wake's underboob, I did the Veilstone gym puzzle and made a couple of adjustments in the process. Maylene's team, or at least the one that I came up against, was super interesting. She had a Hariyama, Machamp, Hitmontop, Blaziken, Lucario, and she had a Ladian, who in this run has the fighting type. Which is fitting, man, I like it. This is enough to actually make me want to use Ladian. Ladian, of all Pokemon, imagine! Sorry, that was disrespectful. In leaving the gym, Dawn asked me to help her retrieve her stolen Dex from the freaking cultists. So I guess word spread and I'm just doing everything for everyone now. I beat up some grunts and who else but Luker to show up and tell us that we need a special key to get through the door. Listen, we can't access this place anyway, so I figure I'ma just go towards Pastoria. I fought Algor again, this time with a pretty crazy team consisting of Absol, Metang, Rhydon, Togekiss, Vileplume, and Infernape. What the hell, man? Why are you better than me? I went back towards the Pokemon Mansion and found Wake just sort of chilling, yet again topless, in the rain. He went back to his gym and I followed. The first time round I got smacked up, but I've come to expect that by now. Then the second first try, I took him on and took him out, alongside his Quillfish, Gastrodon, Vaporeon, Huntail, Crawdon, and Floatzel. I made it out this battle with a Meganium on 4 HP and exactly nothing else. Things are starting to get intense. The gym leaders have 6 mons and they're mostly all holding items with specialist movesets. This game's been thought out. Nuzlocking it would be crazy. Maybe I'll try it sometime. After beating the gym, me and the old macho man exited the building to find Al Gore waiting for his face full of silver chest hair. Apparently there's a culty outside the observatory and my dude has canonically planted a bomb. These fellas are actual terrorists. They actually planted an actual bomb. This actually happens in the base game too. But apparently Shaman came back and saved the day. That's my hedgehog. I took chase, found the guy, lost the guy, found the guy, lost the guy, found the guy, fought the guy and embarrassed him thoroughly, and from here we can head towards Celestic Town. However, our clone challenged us to a battle, and at this point in the game, all rivals and important battles have a full set of 6 Pokemon. I was not prepared and I lost to myself. I fought well, but I was just a better trainer in the end. But I came back and beat me the second time around. I had a team of Alakazam, Lopunny, Mamoswine, Clefable, Flareon, and Empoleon, and I'm telling you bro, I stared me in the eyes and I locked in. How confusing is this? Editor, I apologize for making you try to follow that. A grandma warns us that another cult extremist is shaping up to blow up a temple, so without hesitation, I freaked him up. Our favourite little masochist showed up and talks about how he's gonna make the world anew, but I like my world at old. Get your balls out, mate, we're fighting Crobat, Arcanine, Honchkrow, Chatot, Magnezone, Weavile. Sick team, but not sick enough! Next up was Renegade Park, where Mr. Oak was awaiting our arrival. He says something about this place having a special connection to Kanto and Hoenn, and upstairs we fight some butler guy who gave me some tea. Well, that tea was enough to bribe the guard for Canalave to let us through, which, like, what is your loyalty if all it takes to 180 on your profession is a cup of tea? Al Gore stopped me on the drawbridge and I completely forgot that I had to fight him. I won't lie. I beat him first try and we could move on. The man blocking the gym entrance tells me that the gym leader is off on Iron Island and I need to go find him. I took the boat that conveniently resides directly next to the gym and made my way to Iron Island. I'm telling you though, the trainers here were nuts! One geezer had an Absol, a Metagross, Flameorb, Guts, Ursaring, Salamence, Slacking, and Lucario. Eventually though, we found the gym leader in some random remote house, reflecting on why he's so small and adorable and chibi and small and chibi. He said he'll meet me back at his gym, but doesn't actually leave this place. Yet, somehow when I get to the gym, he's there waiting. The puzzle was so difficult and hard and problematic and strenuous, unless of course you're Gentle Dude, which, ha ha ha, as it so happens, I am of course Gentle Dude. And so I had no issue with my huge soft wet brain. The gym leader had a Bastiodon, Scizor, Bronzong, Magnezone, Steelix, and Probopass. Then our old pal asked us to accompany him to the library, where Dawn and the Prof were waiting. They explained that they need my help catching the legendary Lake Trio, and Big Dog Rowan asked me to head to Lake Valor. When we head out, we're greeted by a sailor who tells us about another frickin' terrorist attack at the lake we're supposed to head to. And sure, I mean, I'll go, but the fact that the leading science researcher in the region is sending a 10-year-old into what can pretty aptly now be called an active war zone, there's bombs going off, man. I might lose one of my comically small and adorable legs. When I get to Lake Valor, Team Galactic seem to have entirely taken over, and there seems to be no actual lake. Where did it go? Was the lake actually a bath? Did someone pull the plug? Regardless, I obliterated cult admin Saturn in a cave area, who then tells me that he wants to capture all 3 of the legendary Pokemon that reside at the lakes. Now it's off to Lake Verity to check out whatever might be happening there, and hey ho, Cult Commander Mars was there waiting, and even though I had a bad lead, I beat her with ease. Apparently Mars had already completed her mission and stolen the legendary, and says that she's captured Mesprit as well. So next I decided to make my way to Snowpoint, but on my way I found a strange luminescent Santa bird. How odd. I can go ahead and catch that, I think. I also decided to catch a Vulpix, because when it evolves it'll become a fairy type. Then I shot to use the cool incense burner thing to attract Galarian Pokemon, and with that I caught Galarian Meowth, since the next gym battle is of the ice variety. North of the city at Snowpoint Temple, I ran into a frickin' Regigigas, but it was like to scale. Maylene and Candace were also there and they asked me to help quell the beast, so I mean I did that, and then I made my way to the Snowpoint gym and got absolutely frickin' cabbaged. Didn't even get through a third of Candace's team. I lost again and I refused to be embarrassed on my own YouTube channel, so before getting hat-tricked I left and caught a Machop, who could actually evolve into a Machamp since trade evos have all been given a different evo method in this game. Then I took my new Quadra Chad and beat Candace first try. I backtracked to the previous route and made my way to the entrance that was blocked off by the Cyan cult before. We find ourselves now in Lake Acuity, where Jupiter and Al Gore were doing, I don't know, something. Jupiter said that she's going back to the Veilstone HQ, and with that information, I followed suit back to Veilstone, where, Looker appeared at the HQ and just so happened to have the storage key for the Galactic hideout, and after flanking round to the storage container, I stealthed my way through the hideout, fought some cultists, and found myself in Cyrus's office. Word seems to have spread about how tall and handsome and amazing and Sigma and talented I am, and apparently my guy knows that we've come here to save the Lake Trio. He says that we can have them because apparently he doesn't have any further use for them, but of course we danced the dance of battle. He had a team consisting of a Crobat, Magnezone, Honchkrow, Houndoom, Uraante, and Weavile. Pretty good team overall, however we managed to take the W. I found the Lake Trio being harvested, or some something, and then I fought Saturn, lost to Saturn, fought Saturn, beat Saturn, and set the trio free. Saturn then said something super interesting in that Team Galactic have acquired a red chain, which they need for something at the top of Mount Cornet. After battling my way through the cult, I found myself at the peak of the mountain at Spear Pillar. I rolled up my sleeves ready to tear these lot a new one, and my bestie showed up to give me a full restore and another flower for my incense burner. Next, I took on Jupiter and Mars. You get it, because the song. That was a double battle with the help of Al Gore, and after taking the dub, he decided that that was enough help for me, and so he scurried off. Cheers, pal. Before I knew it, Cyrus had summoned Dialga and Palkia, who seemed to be trapped by the red chain. Cyrus then commanded that they use the powers of space and time to create a portal to the Distortion world for him. The Lake Trio then showed up to try lend a hand, but once the portal had been opened, a shadowy figure revealed itself from the portal, and it regressed back to its world, taking Cyrus with it. The portal stayed open, and I seized my opportunity. After jumping in the portal, I found both Cyrus and, you guessed it, Giratina on the other side. Cyrus challenged me to a battle where, right, hold on, my man has a Dialga and a Palkia, both 10 levels above the level cap. Then without getting a chance to heal or save, we're yeeted into another battle, where my guy uses his other team of 6 mons. Demon Dog, Mustache, Poison Bat, a roost spamming bird gangster, Cyrus's mum, and an ice cat. With RN Geodude on my side, I thrashed both teams, and after we smacked them up twice, my guy 180'd and decided that it should be us who get the opportunity to capture Satan. Unfortunately though, you can't actually catch the Giratina, so I just had to defeat it. Heartbreaking stuff. Once it was over, we were magically transported to Send Off Spring, where Cynthia, my queen, was waiting for me. She said something about Rowan being concerned and that we should let him know that we're okay. So I went back to Sangem, where I met up with Dawn and the Prof. They celebrated me, and Dawn let me know that the legendary trio were officially back to their respective lakes. And apparently there's some strange Pokemon have appeared around Sinnoh due to the recent Dialga and Palkia BS with Cyrus. However, I'm off to finish what I started. Sunny Shore City. What a place. We bumped into Flint, who demanded a battle, and so of course I comply. After what I'm gonna pretend was one attempt, we beat him and his Lava Camo, his Fire Dog, his Lava Slug, his Wukong, his Demon Dog, and his whatever Magmortar is. To prompt the final leader to go to their gym, I went to the lighthouse where the gym leader was apparently waiting to threaten me. The gym puzzle here was cool. Then the battle itself was also super interesting as a double battle, but after I expertly and with great prowess floored his Electivire, Rotom, Magnezone, Manectric, Pachirisu, and Raichu, I was all set to head to the Elite Four. Inside the cave through, right, on the way to the Elite Four, I found a freaking fire turkey, but I couldn't figure out how to get it, so I just decided to let it live outside the confines of a pocket-sized sphere. You're lucky I can't be bothered trying to figure out how to get there, though. You are lucky. I bumped into some gal named Marley who asked if she could join me in my journey, so I guess now I have a disciple. After helping her get to where she needs to be, I ran into Dawn, who challenged me to a fisticuffs, and she totally didn't beat me. Listen, I beat her absolutely first try after my first try. Before I made it through the Elite Four building, our best pal came to wish us luck and bestow onto us the final flower for the incense burner. Now, it was time to face off against our rival, Mr. Al Gore. Hear me out though, my guy glowed up. Quillfish, Metagross, Togekiss, Venusaur, Marowak, and Infernape. I floored him, but still, cool squadron. I head on into the Elite Four, and first off was Aaron. My guy's team used to look like this. Well, not anymore. My guy did a whole overhaul, and now he's got Shuckle, Mothim, Flygoop, Scizor, Venomoth, and Drapion. So after beating that, Bertha was up next, and Grandma has a Nidoqueen, a Mamoswine, Dug Trio, Quagsire, Donphan, and Rhyperior. Another sick battle, but I managed to clutch a dub. Flint, my guy changed his team a smidge since we last saw him. Now he's got a Magmortar, Flareon, Infernape, Ninetales, Rapidash, and Arcanine. But yet again, I just about managed to squeeze out another win, and lastly was Lucian. Xatu, Giraffe, Slowking, Solrock, Metagross, and Gallade. Yet again, I actually won. First actual try. Actually this time though. My Cynthipoo was last on our rampage, and she has just a ludicrous team of Spiritomb, Breloom, Togekiss, Milotic, Ampharos, and finally Garchomp. On my first attempt, she had a team that had an Alolan Ninetales and a Hisuian Typhlosion, but that was my practice round. That wasn't my first try. We don't talk about that. Now, although I've claimed the title of tall and handsome and buff and cool and famous and humble champion, Lomplat's wonders don't quite end here, because the post-game to this title gets interesting. I left my home and Professor Oak gave me a letter that triggers the Shaman event. They put it in the actual game, so that's a cool thing. I made my way to Snowpoint to take the boat towards the post-game area where Al Gore and I were challenged to a fight with Flint and Volkner. After the battle, Al Gore saw his dad and was all like, "Daddy!" And now his unhealthy attachment to Crash Awake makes a little bit more sense. You can do the battle tower, but I didn't think that was worth putting in the video, to be honest, and after exploring a little, I was stopped by a Dragonite holding a satchel of some sort, and it handed me an odd invitation. Which will be important later, trust me, this thing will blow your socks off your gross little feet. So instead of doing the thing that will blow your gross little socks off your gross little feet, I went to Stark Mountain to watch Looker arrest Team Galactic in their act of trying to steal the Magma Stone. But in this, I was now being told that to be allowed access into the mountain, I need to fight 6 unofficial gym battles across the post-game area that apparently Buck needs me to conquer, so I'll have to do that, I guess. I wasn't even expecting that segment to be that difficult, but I quickly quickly was corrected when I got sloshed up by the poison leader. I made my way round, I collected all the badges, and from there I came back to the mountain and beat Buck before being let through to do some super secret stuff with Mr. Looker. My guy cosplayed as a frog in order to arrest a handful of cult leaders who all just so happened to be hiding out in this one cave. Then, right, I went to Orberg Gate to make my way to the bottom floor of the cave to talk to an inconspicuous lady and hand her the odd invitation that Dragonite gave me. This lady then used her telekinesis to transport me to some sort of mad futuristic room that homed a freaking armored Mewtwo. Atop that, there was a clone Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard, and Pikachu. I'm sorry, what? I captured the clones, which then allowed me to go forth and fight and beat freaking Mech Mewtwo, which then gave me the opportunity to catch normal Mewtwo. And if I take that Mewtwo to a specific Pokemon Center, I can access both different types of armor. So to wrap this, I'm left with a freaking customizable Mewtwo. My guy, what on earth was this experience? Had this been in the rollout of BDSP, I would have been absolutely stoked. What a ride.